Welcome to Behind the Firewall. I'm CNN teammate Carson Kennedy, here to discuss the latest in financial security with CNN's in-house experts. In this episode, I'm joined once again by Pete Boergermann, Director of Information Security at CNN. June is American Housing Month, so Pete is here to help us understand real estate scams, what they are, how they work, and how we can protect ourselves. Without further ado, it's time to venture beyond the firewall. Pete, thank you so much for joining us on the show today.
Thank you for having me, Carson. Looking forward to the questions you have for me and getting this out to our customers to help them be safe.
I'm looking forward to it as well. So, here at CNN, June is American Housing Month, which is a time to better understand home ownership, renting, and real estate. When I think of buying a house, scams and fraud aren't necessarily the first thing I think of. However, I recently learned that there's this whole world of real estate scams out there. So, my first question for you, Pete, is when people say real estate scams, what exactly are we talking about?
So, a real estate fraud occurs when somebody uses a property transaction as a pretense to illegally steal money, personal information, or property rights. And these deceptive practices can happen at any time in the stage, whether it's when you're getting ready to buy, sell, rent, or refinance, and can result in some financial loss and possible legal trouble.
How common are these real estate scams?
Well, I looked this up just a little bit ago, and it's the numbers surprised me. And according to what I found, nearly 1 in 4 home buyers report being targeted by fraudulent activities during their transactions. And the FBI put out some interesting information as well. So in 2004, they had recorded over 9,300 complaints regarding real estate and rental fraud. And then in 2025, they recorded 12,300 complaints, and they said the losses jumped from 173 million up to 275 million. And one of the things that's really kind of making this easier for the scammers is they're using AI to create convincing documents. They're using it to clone voices, spoof emails, and things like that. So they're using the AI technology to take advantage of more people.
Wow. So it sounds like in the last 20 years, this has kind of taken off. You explained how AI is contributing to that. Are there any other factors that are kind of driving this trend?
I think it's just an overwhelming number of fraudulent emails we get, and some of them sound so convincing, and it's easy to fall prey to them.
So, what are some examples of common real estate scams going on?
Yeah, at the two that I saw really at the top of the list are title and deed fraud. So scammers of forged documents or impersonate the true owner of the property to try to sell their home or take out a mortgage without the owner's knowledge. And then rental scams is another big one, where the criminal will list a property they do not own and then collect a deposit, grab the money, and then run. Those seem to be the two biggest ones out there.
Which, I guess, step of the home buying process would you say is most vulnerable to being targeted by a scam?
I say when it comes time to move money, that's the big step right there. And so this wire fraud occurs. That's what it's called when scammers use electronic communication like emails, phones, or text messages to trick you sending money. So if the fraudster has access to either your email or the real estate person you're dealing with or something like that, their email, they're watching what's going on. And the moment it's time to move some money, that's where they jump in and hijack that conversation to get that money to come to them instead of to the bank.
So, what are some red flags that home buyers should be alert for that might immediately cause suspicion when they're going through this home buying process?
Well, first thing I would look out for, verify the real estate agent you're working with. Talk to them in person. Find out if they are licensed and reputable. That would be my first thing. Somebody that you know. Next thing is keep an eye out for, high pressure offers and things like that. And it just ignore all the unsolicited spam messages you get and just stay away from them. So,
What are some ways that a home buyer could verify if their real estate agent is legitimate or not?
first thing is a phone call. Find them online, call the company according to the phone number online, and real estate agents are licensed. And so they can tell you what their license number is, and then you can get online and verify their license number as well.
My next question is, what is the best way that buyers and sellers can proactively rather than reactively protect themselves from real estate scams?
Well, I would say, one of the first things, if you're getting ready to sign a lease or a loan or something like that, actually tour the property. Take a look at, is it real? Is it at the address you expect it to be? And then verify the owner's detail through county public records, which is easy enough to do online. And the other thing, trust your gut. If the deal sounds too good to be true or somebody's pressuring you, step back away from it. And then back to the wire, because this is really where the risk is. When you're getting ready to send money via wire, always call your agent, the lender, or the title company using a number that you haven't filed. Don't trust the number in the email, because that's what the bad actors will do. They'll monitor that email, and then they'll change just the phone number or the routing number within that email to get the money to come from them. So you always want to verbally confirm the routing number and the account details before sending it.
So, finally, Pete, if someone in our audience is listening and they believe they may have fallen victim to a real estate scam, what advice would you give them?
It depends on where you realize that it's a scam. So if it's at the point where you've moved some money, the very first thing I would do is contact your bank, let them know what happened, and ask them to recall the wire and to freeze the compromised account. That would be my very first step. The next thing you can do is lock your credit. You've got the three major credit bureaus out there. You can log in, create an account, and lock your credit. I've done that, and I've actually watched it work when I went to purchase a car. As I was making the purchase, and they went to check my credit, they couldn't because my credit was frozen. So it does work, and I would encourage everybody to do that. And then the last step is to notify your local law enforcement. File a report with your local department, and then also request a copy of that, because the your bank and the insurance companies will require that documentation.
Awesome. Well, I've learned a lot about real estate scams today, Pete, and I'm sure our listeners have too. Since most people only buy a house a few times in their whole life, I feel like there's definitely a lack of awareness about real estate scams. So I really appreciate you coming on the show to sort of set the record straight and answer some questions that can help keep us all, safe and informed.
Yeah, purchasing a house has changed a lot over the last 50 years. At one point it was just a handshake. Nowadays it's a lot more complicated to that. And, you just need to do your homework and make sure you're walking into a good deal.
Thank you for listening to Behind the Firewall. If you enjoyed this episode, like, follow, and share the podcast with a friend. For more cybersecurity and money armor resources, visit cnbankpa.com and follow CNDen on Facebook and Instagram. In the meantime, stay safe and stay tuned for next month's episode. CNDen is a member FDIC and an equal housing lender.